Welcome in, everybody. I'm Bobby Burton. It is time for the Sunday Night Longhorn Livestream. I'm joined by Rod Babers and Jerry Hamilton of On Texas Football. You guys ready for a little football talk? It's game week, officially. Right. Longhorns on the field in Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Wednesday. Jerry Hamilton, Rod Babers, you guys, y'all ready for this week? We got a big week planned for everybody. Got some travel ahead of us. All of that stuff. I'm headed to Atlanta tomorrow. The team left today for Atlanta. A friend of mine sent me a picture of the plane taking off. It is all that stuff right now, guys, for the Longhorns. CJ Vogel already in Atlanta as well tonight. Guys, Texas in the national quarterfinals with an opportunity to go to the semifinals. It's time, for lack of a better term, it is time. Rod B, I'm going to ask you, you're a former player. You got to be pumped right now if you're a Longhorn.
No, I'm more than pumped, actually. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better Christmas gift than the Longhorns advancing in these playoffs and with a favorable matchup. That's as much as I can say. I've been diving deeper and deeper into the matchup, and the deeper I dive, I'm trying to look for ways that kind of reverse engineer this thing. How is Arizona State going to pull the upset? Man, it is a very narrow path for Arizona State to pull this upset over Texas. But, of course, there are ways. Of course, if the Texas Longhorns have a lot of self-inflicted wounds, we talked about turnovers a lot, but I think the Longhorns are in a really, really good place. And I like the fact that Clemson challenged them now. We're back and watch that game again. Love the fact they challenged them. I heard Janae Barron hit up Michael Taft and said, hey, man, we got to be better. After he watched the film, we got to be better. So I can't wait to see how that defense responds after having their biggest challenge in the passing game up against Cade Klubnik and Clemson. So I think that's going to be fun to watch too.
Rod, we've said before, I think it's a great week to be a defensive coach at Texas, preparing for this game. Good, you win a playoff game and have good coaching points. And it was aided. Tate Pritchard's making me laugh. Sorry. It's aided by, I hope Sam Levin didn't catch any geese in his mouth on the flight from Tempe to Atlanta, because boy, he's been running his trap here this weekend. That's good for Sark in Texas too.
Yeah, he was not. Levitt was not, guys, shy about his goal for this game. The Arizona State quarterback saying he wants to perform better than Quinn Ewers. Some other talk going around out there that we got to get to. Oklahoma and Texas A&M took it on the chin. Woo! And then Oklahoma lost its defensive coordinator to West Virginia. A&M lost a stinker in Las Vegas, up by 17 in the late third quarter, I believe it was. And then 12 again a second time, still lost or found a way to lose to USC. We want to talk about that. Also, some portal news and notes that we've got here for you as well. A lot of stuff to get to you. This episode brought to you by our friends over at Rogue Shop. Before we get going, we're going to take y'all's questions tonight, talk about a few of these topics. And before we do that, we want to say thank you to our sponsor, the folks over at Rogue Shop.
Yes, folks, I appreciate friends over at Rogue Shop for being a sponsor here of the live stream, and we appreciate all they do for us, and they can do a lot for you as well. Go check out that discount code on Texas right there. You can find out all the great things that our friends at Rogue Shop can do for you. If you're having issues with sleep deprivation, having issues with chronic pain, I certainly do. From my time playing football, or just anxiety issues, Rogue Shop have a variety of different assortment of different items that may be able to help you in a lot of different ways. They have creams, they have flowers, gummies, have a lot of different things, and they ship nationwide. Anywhere in the country, our friends at Rogue Shop can get their great products to you. So check out rogueshop.com. Use the discount code on Texas. And like I said, for any issue you may have, stress, anxiety, aches and pains. As I get older, I get a lot more of those. Sleeping issues. Our friends at Rogue Shop, and I actually know somebody who personally told me that they use rogueshop.com, told me that the other day, and said they personally love it. It's fantastic. They use it as a sleep aid, a lot of their products, but you go check it out. Trust me, there's something for you at rogueshop.com.
Thank you very much, Rod. Appreciate that, buddy. I also appreciate the folks at Rogue Shop for sponsoring Longhorn Livestream. All right, let's get going. Let's start with the interviews that we heard on Friday and Saturday from Texas and Arizona State, whether it was Sam Levitt or the other folks, Michael Taft speaking for the Longhorns, Quinn Ewers as well. What did y'all think of what we heard from Texas over the weekend?
Well, I thought what I heard from, more of what I heard from the Arizona State guys is what kind of caught my attention. They're a confident bunch. They are a really confident bunch. And kind of going back to Sam Levitt saying, he wants to play better than Quinn Ewers. I know a lot of Longhorn fans took it as kind of trash talk, but I think that's just, he said the quiet part out loud. Anytime you're going on a big stage and you're going up against, going against a team that has a player that plays the same position as you, and they're more highly regarded than you, you want to steal the stage. You want to steal the show. We were talking about that with Gunnar Helm and Loveland at the Michigan game, right? So to me, he just said the quiet part out loud. You ain't supposed to say that, but he's a confident guy. And why wouldn't he? Guys, don't look at the last two games for this young man. He's played his last two games, the best games of his career. Now, he's on a short career. He's a redshirt freshman, but he lost Jordan Tyson in those last two games. And you would have thought, man, that would have had a debilitating effect on his game. It actually hasn't had a debilitating effect on his game. He's actually played well and stepped up and is able to kind of help others around him and really help others around him step up to the occasion as well. So that's what I've been paying attention to is Cam Scatterbo reiterating he believes he's the best running back in the Power Four, even though he's about to go up against his toughest challenge. I like how confident they are. And by the way, I like Sam Levitt's game, love Scatterbo's game. I can't wait to see how Texas takes those guys away because they only got two ways to beat you, Scatterbo and Sam Levitt. And you take Scatterbo away, and it's going to make Sam Levitt's job a whole lot easier playing hero ball out there. Cade Klubnik had to do it and did it really well. I think Cade Klubnik's the best quarterback Texas played. I think Sam Levitt right now, even though Carson Beck has probably got a higher ceiling as a quarterback and a better quarterback prospect, he wasn't playing and still isn't playing the quarterback position because now he's out better than Sam Levitt is. So Sam Levitt's playing the quarterback position right now as well as any quarterback Texas played not named Caden Klubnik.
Yeah, the interesting thing for me about the ASU comments is they aren't playing WKRP in Cincinnati in 3 days. Okay, this is not the Big 12 where they lost 24-14 without Levitt. This is real football. So they're going to. This is a chance to back it up. The crazy thing to me about Levitt, I was thinking about this when he was getting after it on the air. How much is a win worth an NIL to a guy like that if he pulled it off?
Oh,
what are we talking about? $500,000 a year, Bobby? $1 million? Is this $1 million game for a quarterback?
I say million. I say it's $1 million win.
If you're an underclassman quarterback, is this $1 million game for you right now?
Yep, no doubt.
I think it's more than $1 million if you want to get to it because if he's not getting that at Arizona State currently.
Correct.
Let's be blunt.
Yeah.
He was a backup at Michigan State last year. So my take on it is real simple. If he wants to go be a $2 million or $1.5 million a year quarterback, he's probably still not going to get that even at Arizona State. He's going to have to go somewhere else. Beating Texas, that probably gets it done for you if you want to know the truth. All right. Other things that happened. We mentioned the OU and A&M losses. I haven't talked to either of you guys about the OU loss yet or the A&M loss. What did y'all see over in Las Vegas for one game, and then the OU lost to Navy as well?
My thing with how bad is it for Oklahoma when Brent Venables is literally saying, do I need to go for 2 against Navy?
Wow.
I mean, how bad is it when that's what your thought is? Man, I think I got to go for 2 against Navy right here to try to get out of here with the win and not take this to OT. I mean, wow. And A&M, I mean, I don't know. Elko's press conference was interesting because, I mean, he is the head coach and a former defensive coordinator. So, I mean, like, I that was interesting. The best thing about this game is I don't have to watch his defense anymore. I mean, I was like, that's your defense, dude. Like, I don't know what to say to that. I mean, or your coordinator's defense, who you hired.
Yep. I think Oklahoma, I said it like a month or so ago. Watching Texas play them, I started saying it. They're going through an offensive identity crisis as a program. And I remember when Texas went through it too. And now with Sark, it's obviously you don't have an offensive identity issue. You got the Sark offense. People are jealous of your offense all around the country. But we all remember it. That was kind of the end of Mack's era there. And then, after that with Charlie Strong and then Tom Herman, Texas never really figured out what their offensive identity was. Sam Ellinger got you close to it with kind of that Bam Bam Sam year in 2018. But you didn't have a consistent identity. And that affects your recruiting because you don't know what to recruit to. So your identity changes year to year because like, well, we're just recruiting we're recruiting the best players we can get. We're not really recruiting to a system or recruiting to a specific purpose. And it also affects your development and how you develop those guys within that system. If you keep changing it every year, and then you keep flipping coaches when it happens too, by the way. What happened at Texas, right? When you're changing systems all the time, well, I've changed coaches. I need a guy that's going to teach a new system. And what's happening at Oklahoma, right? Third OC, where we're going third, fourth DC there too. So I think they're going through kind of an offensive identity crisis. They got to fix that. Finding the quarterback is your first, that's the first solution to all those problems. And I don't know if they've got that figured out right now either.
Yeah, I my take on OU and A&M is, look, A&M's doing some work in the portal right now. OU is as well. A&M got KC Concepcion, wide receiver out of NC State, good player. Was the ACC Freshman of the Year, I believe, 2 years ago. Really good wide receiver. But who's going to throw it to him? Because, look, Marcel Reed's going to be better next year. He's not improving that much, guys. And they lost a ton on defense. I mean, you saw USC ran the ball down their throats on Friday night. So I'm seeing that at Oklahoma. I just don't know if Brent Venables is the guy for the job. They've had 2 losing seasons and he's been there 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote on Saturday, I'm half wondering that if he's not Texas or OU's version of Charlie Strong, defensive minded coach. And I want to say this. Some of the problems at Texas during Charlie Strong's tenure weren't just Charlie Strong's. They were a sense of entitlement that Charlie Strong inherited to some degree and trying to get through that. And I half wonder if Brent Venables isn't seeing a little bit of that right now in Norman. It's not just him as a coach. It's other external factors he doesn't really control. And so, anyways,
by the way, let's talk about this. Oklahoma's schedule just flips next year.
Same, yeah.
How would you like this schedule when you have to go keep your job? Because A&M may be doing work, and I think they're getting better at wide receiver in the portal.
No.
Defensively, though, they got work to do in the portal. A&M and OU Oklahoma's doing their best, but it's really LSU and Auburn who are making the hay in the portal. And you know what? They're on both of their schedule again next year. I mean, so Oklahoma's schedule just flips from what it was this year. Is Brent Venables going to go 8-4, 9-3 next year?
Is he going to beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa?
I mean, Auburn. I mean, how cruel would it be if Jackson Arnold beat him in Norman to end his tenure?
Wow,
I hadn't even thought about that until just now.
That might get your tarmac style right there. That might get your tarmac style. He lights you up. Yeah.
Auburn comes to Norman and Jackson Arnold wins the game. It pretty much means you're fired.
Yep.
Hey, Pete Thamel, reporter for ESPN, national reporter, has had some scoop on Texas throughout the year, especially with Quinn Ewers. He reported earlier today that Isaiah Bond is playing this week. I will just tell you that despite what Pete Thamel's saying, I think it's fair to say Isaiah Bond is suiting up.
Yes.
How much he will play, Pete Thamel did not commit to. There could be a difference. So all I would say, Sandman, as you're writing this now, Pete Thamel reported Bond is playing this week.
And he's been practicing, so it's been leading up to this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not completely out of the question, but I'm telling you, I don't know that he's going to be full go the whole game.
By the way, this might be a good time to add Lance Jackson, Justice Terry, Michael Terry been practicing with the team. I believe all three made the trip to Georgia.
Nice.
Cole Brevard, also the Purdue transfer.
Practicing with
the team. Getting adjusted to the scheme. Obviously can't play. No reason for that. So hadn't enrolled, began classes at Texas yet, but it got a couple of practice in as well, which is key. If Texas, because we're getting to the point where Texas wins this game as they're favored to do, supposed to do, then it ends up with Lance Jackson, Justice Terry, Michael Terry. They're almost getting this 2 spring practices, Bobby.
Yeah, there'll be 20 days of practice.
That's 2. They get 2 spring practices. Cole Brevard, 2 spring practices almost. With that.
Yeah.
Good stuff there, Jerry. All right, this one, go to Super Chat real quick from Tom G. Heard one of the talk show guys say that Texas is the 5th worst team in college football and missed running back tackles. Do you think this will be a problem on Wednesday? It could be. I don't know if that stat's true, but missed tackles against a talented running back is never going to help you. I would question whether or not that stat's accurate, first of all, if they're really number 127 in missed tackles.
Pro Football Focus claimed that they were 103rd. Now, everybody's got different definition of what a missed tackle is, right? First of all, and different definitions on different things. That's why you'll see the metrics. They'll vary from place to place. Everybody's got a different definition of a pressure, different definition of a missed tackle, whatever. But Pro Football Focus, which is pretty respectable, they say it's a 17% missed tackle rate on run plays against the run, and that's 103rd in missed tackle rate versus the run. And like I said, I can see it sometimes with teams. Texas has missed some tackles in the run game, but they force so many negative plays that you really don't see guys get to the second level very often. So when they do get to the second level, I have seen Texas miss some tackles, but they end up, like I said, making more plays or just as many plays, in my opinion, on the other line of scrimmage than they have missed tackles on the second and third level.
Got it.
But you got to right against Scatterboo because he has forced 92 of them so far, and he got 1,000 yards of his 1,500 plus yards after contact. This is the test. If they are bad in that stat, it will be exposed in this game particularly because they'll find a way to get it on the second level. Also, they love screens. They run, or this stat also came from Pro Football Focus, 24%. Yeah, 24% screen rate in the last 6 games during their winning streak, essentially extension of the running game. Yeah. So they basically trying to get Scatterboo out in space with a lead blocker of some kind, and they just say, hey, we know he's going to break a tackle or 2.
Yeah, if you stop the inside run game with him, they just put him outside and kick it to him on the perimeter and see if they can screen him up. Just to get him. He's got to touch it, Bob. You said he's got to touch it 30, 35 times in this game because if he doesn't, that means ASU doesn't have control of the clock, and that's bad news scenario for them.
Yep. Yeah, I said 40. I think that you got to lean on a guy like that in a game like this. Todd Lacey, Texas 42-17. Texas runs for 200 yards and totals 500. Who are your players of the game in each of the 3 phases? Mine are Quinn Ewers, Colin Simmons, and Silas Bolden. We talked a little bit about Bolden. ASU's special teams, not all that this year. Kind of like Texas, very medium at best. So maybe Silas Bolden's that guy. What do you think offensive and defensive players of the game for Texas? I might go with Trey Wisner here. They need to run the ball, and hopefully he's ready to go and be the back that he's been the last half of this season, frankly.
So I have Quinn in this game. Rod, if ASU can't get pressure, and statistically they're one of the worst, if you don't get pressure on Quinn, because Texas is running the ball, Arizona State knows they can run the football, and they know they're outgunned up front in terms of size and talent. So Arizona State's going to have the decision to make. If they don't get pressure on Quinn, I could see Quinn having a big day through the air in this game. Defensively, I'm actually going Anthony Hill in this game.
He's got to have a big one to stop Scatterboo.
Yeah.
If it's not him or Leonga Lafau, somebody like that needs to. Maybe he's the one that shadows Scatterboo in the screen game too. Rod, what do you think?
I agree with Jared. That was going to be my defensive pick too. I think you got a downhill running team right now, man. They run last 2 weeks 83% power gap schemes as opposed to zone blocking schemes with Scatterboo. That's been their identity in the run game. That number in their 6-game win streak is at 67%. I think it's 70% in the last 3 games. Overall, it's around 59%, but they're definitely trending toward being more of a downhill running team as the season goes on. So I agree with Jerry. I mean, that's Anthony Hill. I mean, in a nutshell. And the screen game, speaking of, since they run as many screens, they run the screens as many screens as in terms of their screen rate, it's as high as any team in the country. So they run as many as anybody out there, including Sark. And Anthony Hill actually is one of the better linebackers in the country defending screens. He actually, according to Pro Football Focus, has 13 tackles on screen plays alone, most by a linebacker in college football. He sniffs them out really well, but they throw every type of screen: slip screen, swing screen, tunnel screen, bubble screen. I mean, they're going to throw everything at you in the screen game, try to get Scatterboo to football.
There you go. Texas got to be ready for it. They've been a disciplined defense all season. Right, Rod B? I mean, Texas has been disciplined all season. They have veterans. They may get tripped up every so often against Arizona State. I just don't know. But something to watch for.
I'll say Quinn too, though. I agree, Quinn, because they're 80th in sacks. They don't blitz. I mean, their blitz rate is around 25%, so they don't blitz. They do a lot of twists and stunts and gap exchange. They don't blitz. And against Texas, that pass protection they have, I don't see them being able to get to Quinn very often. I wouldn't be shocked if Sark went a little bit in an arrogant game plan and did drop back pass some and just said, my guys can beat your guys, which, you know, you could argue is whether that's a mistake or not, but they can't get to Quinn. At least statistically, it says they can't get to Quinn, and he'll have time to throw the football, and you know their guys can win on the outside, especially if Bond is back.
Yeah, I'm interested to see why Texas would go pass heavy if they can run the football, though. I mean, look, the recipe for winning has been running the football this year. When they run the football, they win. And I would just be surprised why they don't go that direction. All right, Kenneth Cassidy, Bobby, it was great to hear Mack is moving back to Austin. If you missed this, we had Mack Brown on the Saturday conversation. He was grateful enough to join us. We really appreciate him doing that. Hopefully, UT will find a place for Mack to help. He would be a great closer to call to get recruits. Here's what I would say to that, and I saw a bunch of comments in this regard. He will not be part of the football program. That's not going to be something that Steve Sarkisian or even he wants to be part. That's just, he knows that you can't have. That's like having the 800-pound gorilla on your back, right? I mean, the guy looking over. That's not what if he does anything with the university, it'll be a emeritus fashion. It may be fundraising as part of that emeritus fashion. I really think that he's looking to get into television. In February is what he talked about. After the Super Bowl is over is when they start talking to folks about getting on television and TV. I think he'd be really good at it. I think that's going to be his primary. But they are moving back to Austin on January 1st. And I think that's a big deal. I think that's where they want to be for their final chapter, as we talked about. Hey, Emmanuel Davis, I see this super chat. I don't know if you had a question attached to it. I looked for it and could not find it. If you do have one, just put it back in the chat and I'll get right to it, or as quickly as I can. Rod, this one's for you from Sean McCumber. Does this team remind you any of it at all of the 2001 team that you were part of?
Oh, that is interesting. Defensively, I think there are some similarities. Our secondary was really good. This secondary is just really good. So we had a couple of lockdown guys in our secondary, Quentin Jammer and myself and Nathan Basher. That kind of reminds me of it. I don't know if we had some athletic linebackers though for our time too. I will say the Texas City boys, Tyrone Jones and everybody. They were, and then brought in Derek Johnson later on. So our linebackers were a little more athletic than linebackers were back in that day. Now, I mean, that's commonplace for linebackers to be athletic like that. So, yeah, I would say that our defensive line may in 2001. I don't know if it has as much size as this D line. Our D line was a little undersized, I think, in my opinion.
Depth too,
right?
Lack depth.
Yeah, we had C Red. I think it was like Kalen Thornton out there, maybe Man, Marcus Tubbs in the middle. Tulsa was a guy that was in the middle. We didn't have depth, and we didn't have a lot of size. We had enough size, but not a lot of it. This group, man, they got tons of it. So there were some similarities. We were more aggressive. We play a lot of man. They don't play any man really. They don't play a lot of man. They're like bottom 20 man coverage rate in the country. We were like top 20 man coverage rate in the country back when it was called Bull Reese. That's all we played back then. So schematically, they're a lot more nuanced and varied with their coverages. And I think Carl Maurice probably blitzed more. I mean, he was just an old school defensive coordinator who light you up. So we blitzed more, and we probably play a lot more man to man than they do. But I think they're a better defense overall than we were. I'll say that's a guy that played. Our defense was, we were a top 5 defense in the country, I believe, that year. I think this defense is just as good, if not better.
Yeah, I think it's slightly better. I thought y'all were really good, Rod, on the back end. And you had some good players, but I just don't think you had the depth.
No.
Just don't think you had the depth, really. All right, Emmanuel Davis, thank you for the super chat. What coaches are on the field versus press box? Could we make some changes here? Texas 38-14. Thanks for all you guys do. Happy New Year. Hookem from Emmanuel Davis. Happy New Year to you and everyone else out there coming up now in a couple of days. AJ Milwee's in the press box, right? Chris Jackson and Tashard Choice are on the field. Banks is on the field. Flood is on the field.
PK and Nansen are on the field. I think it's Gideon's up top.
Gideon is up top. Terry Joseph's on the field.
I actually think Chris Jackson may be up top this year, right? Or has he been on the field?
No, he's been on the field. Been on the field. Pretty sure.
And PK moved down, right?
PK moved down 2 years ago, right?
That was good. It has helped.
He's asking if we can make some change here. The answer is yes, they could. But, they're 12-2.
Yeah.
It's working.
Scotty Hazleton was upstairs, by the way. That's the one they lost. Texas lost its Nichols coach. He was a special assistant to the head coach. Lost its Nichols coach last week. If you didn't hear, he became the defensive coordinator at Wake Forest. So there will be some changes, but I don't know about much. I don't know if y'all saw this one. Eric Mitchell has a good one to talk about. Evening, fellas. Any thoughts on the Fernando Carmona incident against Texas Tech? This is the Arkansas offensive lineman where he intentionally stomped, on the player's ankle from Texas Tech on the ground.
Oh.
I saw it, and I saw the tweet of it. It was just chicken.
That was bad.
It was just chicken. Look, I'm not one to sit here and cry for Texas Tech in any way, shape, or form, but that's BS. That was just BS. That's like, twisting a guy's ankle at the bottom of a pile. I know it happens.
Wow.
Oh yeah. He basically looked like there was a fumble or something going on, and he took his right foot and jammed it on a guy's ankle that was laying on the ground.
Yeah.
Just chicken,
Yeah.
The school should step up and suspend him for 2 or 3 games next year before they're making the league do it. They should just take this one by the bull by the horns.
2 games. I would be fine with 2 games. And
was he called for a penalty?
Or something like that, dude?
Was he called for a penalty in the game?
No.
No penalty in the game.
No penalty in the game. No penalty in the game. Nobody saw it. It's
replay.
But it's clear as day on replay. Clear as day.
By the way, one game we didn't mention: Miami Hurricanes.
Oh wow, yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, it's a new era. It's a new era. They didn't. I will say this: he did play in an era where guys usually just opt out to play. But
how would you like to be paying a guy 7 figures in NIL and you need him to come help you win a game? He says, "I'm good. I'm good."
That's weird. We haven't seen that before, man. It probably won't be. I don't know. Probably we saw it in the NFL actually recently. Anthony Richardson did.
And then there's the Miami defense. And then there's the Miami defense, who I don't think could stop North Crowley at times.
Here's my take on that. Right. So people don't know Miami's quarterback Cam Ward, who I think may be the number 1 overall pick, by the way.
Could be. Yeah.
Miami's Cam Ward played for the first half and lit up Iowa State, and ended up passing the all-time touchdown, becoming the all-time touchdown leader in college football, passing touchdowns, right? I think that was the stat. All right. He then goes in at halftime and decides not to play the second half after passing the record. So not only is he trying to get a record just for himself and not for his team, he's then not going to play for his team. Then after they had the lead, Iowa State comes running back, takes the lead. Miami gets the ball with 51 or 52 seconds left in the game. Cam Ward says, no, I think I'm good. Miami could have come back and won. Look, at what point do you say, really?
Hey,
I mean, seriously.
Will it affect his draft stock?
No.
Probably not. Exactly.
No.
Yeah. So, you know.
But seriously, I mean, come on. Have a little bit more to you than that, Cam. And I will say this. Every time I see him on the field, I think he's a warrior. That wasn't the act of a warrior. I'll just put it that way. Juan Garza, you think Texas will erect a statue for Mack? I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know. Especially, that's tough. That's a good question. I don't know.
Eventually, maybe. Too early, maybe. It was too early 5 years ago. I know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, I mean, he won a national championship.
That's true.
Eventually.
Okay. So what if Sark wins one this year? Then we'll Sark gets his statue up too?
Hey, they have all of the Alabama coaches that won national championships have them.
All right. Yeah. You know what? No, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying, like, what's the precedent set? It's set. If you win that shot, get yourself a statue.
That's fine.
They're like, yeah. So I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it. Get a man a statue.
Dax Kelm here. David Benda was designed to stuff downhill running backs. Let him loose to fill the gaps. You know, the other thing is, I think Leonga Lafau was too.
It's good.
Both those guys, and Benda goes to the wrong hole maybe once too often a game.
He guesses sometimes.
Yeah, he guesses a little bit too much. And I think, Rod, do you see them running any delays or anything like that to try to get Texas over pursuing and then cut back? Because Scatterboo will cut back.
Yes, they have
a couple times against Iowa State.
No, I agree with you. I think sometimes they have almost designed cutbacks for them, and some of their screens are really elaborate. Where a lot of linebackers, depending on what you're reading the interior offensive line, and they'll do some freaky stuff, basically with package plays, like 3 different plays happening at one time to throw your linebackers off, all designed to get Scatterboo in space one-on-one with somebody. So they do a good job of that. I will say this. I thought about whether Texas would, because, depending on how you match up, how you believe you match up with the wide receivers without Jordan Tyson, their top guy, early on, depending on obviously formation-wise and personnel groupings that you have to defend, if Texas will go with some of that 3-4 and go at 40 personnel at times, because it's all about stopping Scatterboo. I mean, honestly, I'm not afraid of the wide receivers. I will say the wide receivers stepped up last game against Iowa State, and they all basically had their best games of the season, minus Jordan Tyson. So good for them. But I still think Texas can match up with them. But I think they'll early on maybe take some shots because they know Texas is going to be very Scatterboo, focused. May use them as a decoy early on. I can see that.
Rod, do you think, though, this is one of the things we were talking about on Coffee and Football last week. How will Kenny Baker and PK and those guys play the interior of the defensive line in this game? Or that I'm not sure they're going to play those guys up the field as much as they're going to have them hold the point of attack and try to force runs outside and get Scatterboo moving east and west. Yeah. And that takes away the cutback if they play more gap control, say, all right, we're going to win, so we're going to control these gaps, but we're not going to get upfield and give you cutbacks. We're going to make you bounce it outside the tackles. We're going to make you bounce it outside the B gaps.
And let your linebackers chase. Let your linebackers go chase them down because you got speed. I was talking to Derek Johnson about that, and he basically described what you're talking, your strategy you're talking about, instead of your guys penetrating to get upfield. And, basically them allowing you. You see sometimes their offensive line, they're not great. They know
Arizona State wants Alfred Collins up the field.
Yes, they know they're not great. So at times you'll see them, they'll just kind of almost invite you upfield and just kind of shield you off away from Scatterboo running downhill. So I'm with you. That's why I could see them going with the kind of that big 3D tackle group at time and just saying, or the 3 down. Sometimes it's 3D tackle. Sometimes, they use Sorrell as that other guy on the end. but they just come with a 40 personnel package, put 4 linebackers on the field, and I'm with you, stuff the inside and force Scatterboo running east and west, because that's when he loses his effectiveness. That's why they stopped running zone, guys. They stopped running zone so much. They wanted him going downhill as much as possible, and him running zone and trying to pick a hole and being patient. Even though he's got great vision, he's got really good footwork, he's got great kind of contact courage and contact. If you look at it, kind of the physicality at the point of attack, the best way to tackle him is for him to be going east and west. They started now going downhill with him because, and I'm not saying that's they're not going to run zone at all, but I believe they think he is better as a downhill back, so they want to hit it as quickly as possible. Even their pistol is shortened up a little bit. Their pistol is a little bit closer to the quarterback than most. I think they want to get him doing downhill quicker.
Hey, Rod, I think, judging from what you said, you noticed this. You watched the Iowa State game. They let that Dominic Orange guy get up the field and almost Olayed him and just let him run up the field. And then they ran it right off his butt. That's
exactly right. Yeah, and I think they'll do the same thing with Texas. They can't block Texas defense. They can't block Alfred Collins. They can't block Vernon Broughton. They know that. So
early on, I'm holding the point of attack. This is Bill Norton can come in and hold the point of attack. Lole, hold the point of attack.
Which is why I think they'll add that +1 in the running game. Sam Levitt doesn't have a lot of design runs. He scrambles a lot, and he's really good at scrambling. I think they'll put in more design runs from in this game against Texas just to try to keep that backside honest against Scatterboo. If you are going to have him, having to go north and south, you can't have him being chased down from the backside. And Texas DNs and outside guys can do that.
Good conversation, guys. Look, my question is this. Also, I watched the Iowa State game with Arizona State. That's the most recent game they played, but it's also one of the only games I saw them this year. How much success of Scatterboo was because Iowa State runs 3 high?
And they're bad on run defense, 105th in the country.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer, but something worth talking about. All right, Miracle Martinez. Can we get a shout out for the show band of the Southwest? Colton Martinez, who comes by and is in our chats every so often. He's also a member of the Longhorn band. Mentioned they are having to drive to Atlanta. Hey, that's a bus. I've been on a bus full of college age kids before. There are worse places to be. I'm just going to say it. There are worse places to be than on a bus full of kids. All right. Good luck to Colton, though. We appreciate you going out there, bud. Marlon, Jonte Cook to Washington. Your thoughts, Jerry? Hey, Jerry, after we get to this, I want to ask you about Texas and the portal, because we've had a couple questions about Texas and the portal as well.
Yeah, so look, all kids, no matter what, I mean, and I don't think Jonte's helped himself on social media at all through all this. I think it's hurt him. I think teams backed off of him because it made them do research and really question, maybe even call Texas. I don't know. I hope he just goes on and maximizes his talent, but the things he's doing makes me wonder if he will. I hope he does. I hope all these kids do, man. I mean, I hope they just go get it done and go maximize their talent and go see where it takes them. But I mean, look, that's obviously was probably like his 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 20th choice. And there were a lot of schools that took a look and passed. And I think he hurt himself since he entered the portal. I think he's hurt himself. Instead of helping himself, he hurt himself. And so I hope he goes and helps himself now. Maybe being way far away from Texas is the best thing for him. Maybe being out of the SEC is the best thing for him. Somewhere he can go way far away and just put the Twitter away and just go football, man. Just go football and see what happens. I hope he gets it done. But I know a lot of people passed on him.
Yeah. Texas. What about Texas in the portal? Defensive tackles. Some things did not come true that we thought might. Peter Woods, defensive tackle out of Clemson, did not enter the portal, Jerry. He announced his return to Clemson. Other thoughts on that and other topics as it relates to the portal right now?
Yeah, Texas is there. It's almost like high school recruiting with Sark. He's patient. He's chilling. He's sitting back. Now he's very football focused, but there's a level of patience there. And I think the fans, it's tough for the fans for sure. It's tough. It's tough on us. So at times. But I think that's where Sark is at. I think they took a look in the portal. You've seen who they really went after. 4 guys that they really went after. They've got 3 guys. And we'll see who else jumps in after all these bowl games are over. And in the spring, I still think Texas will fill out their roster with very talented players. It just may be a different path than what anybody was expecting.
Anybody anytime expects Sark to do one thing in the recruiting, get ready for something else. That's what I mean. You know what I mean? We expect, he's going to have all these commitments in June. No, I don't think so. Maybe July. No. Then all of a sudden he ends up with the number 1 recruiting class. 2 years before that, he's just he does it his way, and more power to him, because we're sitting here talking about the Longhorns in the quarterfinals. And I will say this: when I mention recruiting with Sark, I would just say roster construction as a whole. It's not just high school recruiting. He's done very well in the portal as well. You got to put that out there. Speaking about the portal, Jerry and Rod, what players, this from Roy Womack, thanks Roy for the super chat, what players have done really well for themselves after transferring out of Texas? Malik Murphy had a good season at Duke, relatively speaking. He's on to Oregon State now. Xavier Alford, the starter at Arizona State. He actually went to USC first. Yeah. Andre Karich started for a couple years at Tennessee after transferring out.
Jameer Johnson starts at Indiana at corner. Jameer Johnson starts at Indiana for corner. He may be the one people don't talk about enough, but he actually was a starter on a playoff team.
I'll tell you the one that's an NFL player that did it is Jared Wiley.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably, if you look at Xavier Alford may or may not play in the NFL. We talked about that, whether it's a late round pick or but of the guys that have truly transferred from Texas, Logan Parr went on to start for multiple years.
Moochie Dixon plays a lot.
Yep. But NFL player, I think the only one that has done that thus far is Jared Wiley. And part of that, I think, is because, frankly, JT Sanders came about.
Hey, Texas fans in the Texas chat, you think that Georgia losses are bad this year? Ask Wiley about his.
Yeah, to Georgia.
65-7.
Hey, guys, Juan Garza wants to know, can Lance Jackson, Justice Terry, and Michael Terry play in the games or just practice? Just practice, guys.
Yeah.
Just practice.
And Cole Brevard is also taking part in some practices.
Yeah, but all they can do is practice. And one of the things that Sark was worried about and has been worried about is having enough players to do what they call two-spotting in practice. And that means run 2 full practices simultaneously, where the first and second team practice on one half of the field, and the third and fourth team practice on the second part. And the reason you want to do that is that gives just as many reps to that third and fourth unit as it does the first and second. And right now they don't have enough defensive tackles to do that because they want to get all their defensive tackles in rotation that are on that side. And
and a little update there. I think I said it on one of the Coffee and Footballs or a live stream, but Myron Charles is going to do the same thing. And this is just kind of things you battle through at times. Port Charlotte High didn't have his final transcript sent to Texas in time for him to practice now. So he'll just have to enroll January 13th with the other early enrollees. But he wanted to do that as well. But the high school didn't have the final transcripts in order, all the paperwork that had to be done yet, per Myron when I talked to him last week about that.
All right, guys, we got some more time. We got time to take more questions here. We're going to do that. But first, I want to ask Rod B to talk about our friends over at Rogue Shop, if you would, Rod.
All right. Thank you, Bobby. And thank you to Rogue Shop as well, rogueshop.com, for being a part of the On Texas football family and sponsoring our Sunday night live stream. Rogue Shop, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. They ship nationwide. I've got to remind you of that. So no matter where you are in the On Texas football family, our friends over at Rogue Shop can get their great products to you. But they have it all, folks, from oils and creams and flour and gummies at rogueshop.com. And it doesn't matter exactly, what ailment you're dealing with. Maybe it's just physical aches and pains that you're dealing with, like myself, as I get get older, or maybe it's sleep issues, sleep deprivation, anxiety, and general stress. I talked to a member of the Owen Texas football family just last week who told me they love Rogue Shop. They've been actually visiting Rogue Shop and purchasing from Rogue Shop for a couple of months, and it's helped them with their sleep issues. So it can help you with some of your issues as well. They have a variety of different products, and I guarantee you one of them or some of them can help you with all of the issues that you got going on. Oils, creams, flour, gummies. Go check it out at rogueshop.com. Remember, use the discount code on Texas, and you'll get a very special discount from our very special friends at rogueshop.com.
Thank y'all so much for sponsoring. I got some questions coming in. Y'all make sure you get them in if you would, please, and we'll get right to them. Hey, Jerry, what about receiver in the portal? Not only Zachariah Branch out of USC, but also Squirrel Williams, from Tennessee. Speedy wide receiver. He went in the portal today or yesterday. Can't remember which. Would he be a guy that Texas might take a look at, in your opinion?
I don't know on that. I don't know on that one at this point. Not a name, obviously, we've heard.
Gotcha.
So
what about? Yeah, no, that's fair. I think Zachariah Branch is one that we know Texas has some interest. I want to say this before we move forward, because they're asking about Travis Shaw, the big lineman too, Jerry. Joey Fletches. I want to say this. One thing that I've been told is Texas coaches are not going to be sidetracked right now with the portal recruiting. They are very much involved and very much doing it, but most of it is being done by Brandon Harris and the GMs. Sark and those guys have to be focused on football because they want to win a national championship. That's what you do it for. You don't recruit. It's not about recruiting. It's about winning national championships. It's all nice to be number one in national and recruiting. It's really nice to win a national championship. And so there's a little bit of that. Jerry, what about Travis Shaw? The two names we've heard are Nua Tanavasu out of Utah and Toby Onyeta out of Iowa State.
Those are the two we've heard.
Those are the two we have. We haven't heard Travis Shaw, correct?
No. And I think, look, I think Texas, they're going to be pretty patient and see who else jumps in too as well. They just really are.
And it's got to be coming relatively soon because bowl games get ready to be over. And there's a 5-day wait period. Like Clemson's 5-day wait period ended yesterday. So 5 days after your last game, you can still jump in the portal. Yeah. The actual portal itself closed, I think, on the 28th. But if you're still playing, that means Texas players can jump in the portal too. 5 days until 5 days after their final game. And there likely will be some that do that, by the way. Somebody's saying TD Bijan Robinson. I'm guessing he just scored one tonight. Must have. So nice. Keep an eye out on that. Here's this. Antoine. I remember when it was reported Jade was behind Gilbo and couldn't play CB full time. Guess what? He was getting work behind Gilbo, but it wasn't because he couldn't play CB full time.
Yeah.
Sark, I'll tell you what happened, and this was educational for me. I asked Sark at a press conference, when did you know what you were doing and how did you construct the secondary to be what it's like? And he said, look, we knew we had to make changes this offseason. And it started with getting Jade Barron back and saying, okay, Jade, you're going to play corner. And then Terrence, if you remember, Terrence Brooks, they didn't really pursue him hard in the portal. It was a mutual decision. The former Texas starter, mutual decision. They wanted to get Gilbo on the field because they felt Gilbo was a good cover guy and very active. Okay, and had some speed to him. Then they went out and got Andrew Makuba. Antoine, it was really interesting how Sark described how, again, I use the term roster construction, what exactly it is that he did.
I want to say this. I think he played corner better than they expected this year.
Yes.
And I think it made them reconsider the recruitment of Cade Phillips. Recruiting him as a safety versus a corner. Yeah. I'm just putting that out there.
I like that.
I think it's totally true. Hey, Rod, we got some people in the chat, and this is not normally what we do, but I do want to ask it People saying Shadur Sanders should be the number one pick. Some saying Cam Ward is reminding them of the quarterback in Draft Day, the movie. I don't think it's like
the one nobody came to his birthday party.
No one showed up to his birthday party.
Yeah.
But what do you make between those two quarterbacks? Or which one's your favorite? Do you have one? Is there a quarterback that deserves to go number one overall this year? That may be a better question.
No.
Yeah.
Well, if the New England Patriots right now, I think they're in line for the number one pick since the Giants won today.
Yeah. Well, if
the New England Patriots aren't going to take a quarterback. They like their quarterback.
They like Drake May. No, Drake May's look pretty good, and they're limited on offense too. No, I think the quarterback position is such a premium position that it obviously boosts overall those QBs. You see more and more. Even saw it in last year's draft. And last year's draft class ended up being a pretty good draft class, at least early on. It's looking like that of quarterbacks that they're willing to overlook the downside of your skill set and only look at really the upside. And the upside is they put so much more emphasis and they're willing to bet more on the upside than any possible downside of a skill set of a quarterback. And that's just because if you hit, then everybody wins. It's like a lottery. If you hit, and everybody wins. Of those two quarterbacks, from what I've seen, man, I think I like Cam Ward maybe a little bit more. That's crazy to say. I like Shadur too. I think I like Cam Ward.
Bigger too.
Yeah, just a little bit more.
Throwing lane's a little bit better.
I'm really concerned with Cam Ward's turnovers translating poorly in the NFL, though, guys.
Jameis Winston is in the NFL, Jerry.
I know, but we're talking about going number one overall, man. That's
where did Jameis go?
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, it's great to be a quarterback that goes in the NFL, first round of the NFL draft, though. I mean,
Hey, speaking of that,
for all those guys, this
is a good segue. Let's talk a little Quinn Ewers in the NFL. M. Brees says, I know this will upset CJ, so it's good he's not here tonight. Keep seeing a lot of smoke around Ewers transferring. I think he goes pro, but it's still out there. It is still out there, but look, I've been told he's going pro. Now, he's not announcing anything. He's not saying anything publicly, but that's what I've been told.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe my source on this. All right. Now, I'm not going out there and saying Quinn Ewers says I'm not doing that because this is the young man's life. He's going to decide how he decides. Okay. All I can tell you what my source says. The one thing I would say that is causing more consternation is the guy Colin Cowherd out there right now is saying that Notre Dame is going for a big name transfer quarterback from the portal. That, by the way, is also in the playoffs right now or still playing. I mean, is he going to go after Will Howard, Quinn Ewers, Dylan Gabriel? Can he play a 10th year? I mean, maybe it's Sam Levitt.
Everybody else has left Tennessee. What's Nico doing?
Oh, no. Wow. Man.
So we don't know is the answer, but I'm not concerned about that. And I will tell you, I think Quinn, he's got a Longhorn tattooed on his leg. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. I think he wants to go to the NFL. I think it's time for him to go next. Will Butler and Jerry, this is for you. Are we a little concerned now about the lack of portal additions, considering what's in the portal and only a few teams left to have players able to enter? What do you think, Jerry? Are you concerned at all? I know you said.
Yeah. No, you still have the spring too. Grad transfers, coaching change. I'm not. I look at 3 years ago I would have been, but I don't have a reason to be with Sark and these guys. They've proven.
Yep.
I wish I could bring this up.
Trust in Sark.
Yeah, trust in Sark. I wish I could bring this up. Kenneth Cassidy, Elko, he has so many flubs in his press conferences. He basically came out and said, my defense sucks. They can't cover the forward pass. I'm in the post-game press conference. Mm-hmm. Jerry had the tweet of the day, though, Rod. I don't know if you saw his tweet yesterday. Did you see that?
I think we'll check it. I'm going to check it out.
I got to describe it for folks that did not see it. Mike Elko, in one of the off times, and people do this at the Las Vegas Bowl, the coaches go down there and they gamble a little bit. In a little bit of it's a little bit of reverie. It's a good thing for Las Vegas because they're hosting the bowl. They want to get well. Anyways, some fan posts a picture of Mike Elko gambling. It looks like at a blackjack table, but you can't see anything more than that. You can see the chips on the table. You can see the little green felt. You see Mike Elko clearly at the table, kind of got his head down a little bit. You know what Jerry's response was?
No.
Can't see the cards, but I think it's an 8 and a 5.
Yeah. That was pretty good. Good. Well done. Pretty good.
Jerry, well, I don't know where you came up with that, but it is what it is, buddy.
Love it.
Will Butler said spring portal additions are not as good, maybe, but Jermaine Lole was really good. All it takes is a couple.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not. Texas has a very talented roster. I think so. What this also tells you, they really like their young players.
Yeah,
they like their young guys that are about to be on the scene. I think they'll be all right. Look, I mean, Brad Spence, tremendous player in my estimation, going to be third year. Cole Brevard played 500 snaps over the zero in Power 4 football. Played over 400 snaps, I think. Was it 380, 400 for Purdue last year? Got an all-conference punter out of the portal. They'll add a couple of pieces there on the defensive line too. They're gonna be they like their young kids. That's what they're also telling us.
All right, Culture Warrior here saying Arizona State QB didn't just say he wants to play better. Rod said he wants to prove that he is better than Quinn. How healthy is Quinn right now? He looks fairly healthy these days and continues to get better. I think he's played better the last couple of games for sure. I thought he played reasonably well against Georgia, and I thought he played really well against Clemson overall. What did you think overall? Is that a sign of him feeling better in your opinion?
Yeah, I don't think the injury is an issue anymore. I think Quinn has the mobility that I've seen him. I've seen him now kind of the mechanics seems like, it's now something that is a lot more consistent. I think it may have been inconsistent dealing with multiple injuries. In terms of Sam Levitt's comment, listen, I think Sam Levitt has an NFL future too. I think he can play. I do. Just watching the film on him. Exactly. I'm with you, Jerry. I like his game. He's just a redshirt freshman. 16 touchdowns, 1 interception in the last 6 games. I mean, he's been dealing. He doesn't have a lot of weapons, so we'll see what he's made of when he goes up against Texas. But he's got good NFL, like a football character, right? His dad played at BYU at linebacker. I think his brother played in the league a little bit. So I think he's got a really high ceiling. I don't think he has a higher ceiling than Quinn. He's playing the position at a really high level right now. The only quarterback Texas played that's playing at a higher level is Cade Klubnik, in my opinion. I think he's playing better than Carson Beck was playing.
I agree. Totally agree. Hey, I can answer this one now. Toby Van Lanning, can you tell us why Sadir was suspended now that he's gone? Yes, he refused to go in a game, and they sent him to the locker room in the third quarter of a game.
That he should have gone in earlier.
Yeah, I thought he should have gone in earlier, but he was having a couple of weeks of practice leading up to that point.
Said he should have. Did he say that to a coach?
That's what we heard. Wow. True or not, Bobby and Jerry, what's y'all's best Cinderella story for a recruit? In y'all's time covering recruiting?
Man, at Texas, it's Colt McCoy.
Oh yeah,
because he was the number 2 quarterback in the class. Ryan Perilou was a 5-star. Colt McCoy was really skinny, looked like he was years away physically. He's the guy for Texas. I mean, recruiting's so different. Didn't Barry Sanders have 3 scholarship offers, Bobby?
Yeah, he was really small. Yeah.
He had 3 scholarship offers, if I remember right.
It's a bunch of those now, though, right? With the transfer portal and now with NIL, I feel like those stories are going to happen more and more often. The Cinderella recruiting story. I mean, Cam Ward one of those stories?
Cam Ward is absolutely one of those. The crazy thing about Cam Ward is his QB trainer in high school still works with him a little bit. I know very well. Longtime high school coach in Texas, actually played for my dad. I know him really well. He tried to tell people, hey, man, I've been training this guy. He's got some stuff he's got to work out, but this guy's going to end up being really good. Nobody would listen to him.
Yeah. I mean, Shadur Sanders, I'm not obviously Deion's son, but he wasn't how many stars?
Everybody had him a 3-star. We had him at ESPN and Under Armour game. Obviously, Deion was coaching in the game at the time, but Shadur was good when he was there. We were like, he's not a 3-star prospect now. This kid's got a lot of something to him now, and he understands the game. He really understood the game. You could tell when he was in meetings, he had a feel for it. He knew. He knew the game. He knew what he was looking at on a board. So he was impressive. I'll tell you a crazy one's Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack didn't play high school football till his senior year. Buffalo signed him. He was a basketball guy that finally realized through AAU the dream was over when you're 6'3", 230, playing power forward. The dream was over. Comes out for football senior year. Nobody in the state of Florida signed him. Then he goes on to Buffalo, and the rest is history.
Wow, I never knew that.
How much money would he have made in the portal now after about a year?
That's wild.
My favorite one though, best Cinderella story. I think Colt is definitely it from a rags to riches Cinderella type story, right? I'll tell you one that I loved was Rashad Bobineau. Because he played on a winning team. He played for Brian Irwin at Lamar. Yep. And Rashad's now a coach down in the Houston area.
Yeah.
But he's 5'9". I mean, dude's not he ain't arms. No 5'9". What did he do? He started for 4 years at linebacker. He's still not over 5'9", Jerry.
No. And Brian Irwin has the great line. He told Mack, he said, I'm about to win state championships with this guy, and you can win a national championship with him. So Brian Irwin told Mack, and at least Mack listened.
Yeah.
By the way, this is a good one. This is a guy. We need to talk about this. I want to talk about this. Wrestle. Why was Scatabo not recruited out of high school? Was it because he was from NorCal? No. It was because he was 5'10", 205 pounds, and ran 4'8", and people said, well, he may have a chance to be a D2 FCS linebacker. And so he goes to Sac State, and, dude, he's all heart. He's one of my favorite 2 or 3 players in college football this year. I mean, I've been talking about him a ton on this since I watched the Mississippi State game. And he's a great recruiting story because he was a guy that he didn't pass any eye tests. He wasn't a combine guy. He didn't play against great competition in NorCal, but it was still, he's 5'10", 205 pounds. And nobody was going to recruit him at a major school at a running back or even a linebacker. So he had to go FCS. He ends up playing running back, and the rest is history because he has gotten a little faster. He's dropped 15 pounds since last year. So he's got a little more speed this year to him, but I can't measure that heart and that physicality.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, Texas has to stop him, and to Rod's point, they can't just ignore the quarterback on the run in the run game. It's going to be, if you can run the football, the game opens up for you, and that's what's happened this year for Arizona State.
Yep,
it's happened mostly against inferior defensive fronts to what Texas will show them.
Yeah,
in my opinion. So where does it come out? Where in Lady Justice and the scales of Lady Justice, which area does it go? I think Texas, but you know what? Great players can transcend the game a little bit. We'll see if he's got that, fairy dust on him.
It's 2 of those. It's 2, the Ashton Jeanty and the Scatterboo one in these playoffs. I can't wait for both. Both of those running backs are considered extraordinary and elite. And they're going up against extraordinary elite defenses, and it'll be their biggest test of the season. I can't wait to see if they can run. Both of those guys can run against these defenses. Oh, they different.
Yeah,
they built different.
Hey, here's a question I want to ask y'all because I think this is a really good question. The Georgia Notre Dame game. When Notre Dame has gotten these games in the college football playoff in recent years, and Brian Kelly was there, they just got overwhelmed from a talent and speed standpoint. Any chance Georgia does that to him, even with Gunnar Stockton?
Of course. Of course there's a chance, but I don't think it will. And I'll tell you why. One, Georgia's offense is not that. It's just not built that way this year. Okay. Gunnar Stockton has played all of 30 snaps, 40 snaps this season. I don't know, 50 maybe. He's got receivers that can't catch the ball.
That's a big issue for them.
I mean, and I think Marcus Freeman has recruited a good deep team at Notre Dame. I mean, don't forget they out-physicaled A&M early in the season and held Notre Dame's run game or A&M's run game with Le'Veon Moss at bay. I think Notre Dame's better than most teams think, or most prognosticators think. But I won't be surprised about any outcome in that game. I don't think it'll be a blowout for Georgia, though. I could be wrong.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a low-scoring game.
Rod, what about you?
Yeah, if I'm Georgia, I'm a little worried if the quarterback run game has given them some issues this year. But man, that defense, if they're dialed in and prepared like they have been against Texas, it's going to be hard for Notre Dame just run the rock consistently against them. I said that one was kind of a push for me. I could see it going for Notre Dame. I think I picked Georgia, but I see why the line is with like 2 points.
Yeah,
because I could easily see a young quarterback just making critical mistakes. Period. And enough of those against Notre Dame on the big stage like this, and then you're done.
He almost made one against Texas with John A. Barry.
They did. Yes.
I mean, it's not like we hadn't seen that play out. Last couple questions before we get going here tonight. Splendid Daddy. Elko drinks Corona. That was also the case in that photo that was circulating. Just terrible. Okay. Nice you to be drinking Flight, by the way, by Yingling. Splendid Daddy says, what do y'all think about Brent Venables needing a new defensive coordinator? The OU defensive coordinator leaving, Brent Venables heading up to West Virginia to reunite with Rich Rodriguez, who he coached with previously.
A lot. Somebody in the chat was saying the Clemson DC may go to OU. I'm like, well, who told them to take him? Sark? I mean, like, what Sark told Venable? I got the guy for you, man. You know him. You should take a long look at this one. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess you got to pay guys a lot of money, but would you leave Clemson for Oklahoma?
Not in the you could give me a 3-year deal and I wouldn't go.
Nope. I agree.
No. Not if you're getting paid roughly the same amount.
No security. There's no security.
None. Some of what Mack faced his final years.
It's true.
Some of what Mack faced.
That would be a crazy move because, I mean, Clemson should be, unless here's the other thing, unless Dabo doesn't try to keep him.
Yeah, never know. I think he wants to keep the offensive coordinator for sure.
Yes,
to keep with Klubnik, have 3 years in that system with Klubnik.
Yeah.
Defense, I don't know. Dabo's been pretty loyal to his assistants historically, though. I would say that he fired one guy like one time 2 years ago when he brought in Garrett Riley. All right, that's going to do it for tonight's Longhorn live stream, brought to you by our friends over at rogueshop.com. Make sure you use that discount code on Texas if you want to go to rogueshop.com, a bunch of sleep aids, as well as other herb products that you may be interested in. Thanks also to Jerry Hamilton and Rod Babers. And thank you to all of you for joining us. I hope you guys had a good weekend and are ready for 2025. Because the first day of 2025, the Texas Longhorns are taking on the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Can't wait.
Jerry and Rod B, thank y'all. Y'all have a good night, guys. Hook 'em.
Hook 'em.